Newly released footage shows the incident that led to the arrest of Dallas native and Olympian sprinter Sha'Carri Richardson.
TMZ obtained some surveillance footage of the incident, which happened late last month.
I assaulted him. I didn't do anything wrong, but the fact that you guys are doing this to me and he's a man in this situation, I'm gonna comply. I am. I'm not gonna argue with you at all. But you had me on camera, but at the same time, what he has on camera, I have my phone, so something different. So if I need to...
An Olympic star, once celebrated for her speed, is now facing the biggest scandal of her career. A leaked airport video has divided fans worldwide, but does it prove Sha'Carri Richardson crossed the line? Or is there more to the story than we're being told? Sha'Carri Richardson wasn't simply suspended, she was stripped from Team USA with nothing more than a blunt, impersonal email that landed in her inbox like a hammer blow. No discussion, no compassion, no hint of grace for someone who had once been celebrated as one of the most electrifying athletes in America. It was the kind of cold dismissal that told the world not only that her time on the team was over, but that the organization had washed its hands of her completely. And the justification, officials said, could be traced to a single, leaked, uncut video from Seattle-Tacoma International Airport that revealed an ugly confrontation between Richardson and her boyfriend, Christian, a video that, according to those in power, left no room for excuses, explanations, or forgiveness. The definitive last straw after years of controversy, but the moment the footage hit the internet, sparking viral debates and a tidal wave of reactions, the public quickly realized the story wasn't nearly as simple as the league made it seem. Because while officials presented it as a closed case, fans and critics alike began to ask the deeper, harder questions. Was this truly the downfall of an athlete undone by her own choices? Or was the narrative being quietly manipulated by the dynamics of her personal life? Particularly her complicated relationship with Christian, who himself came forward to defend her despite appearing to be on the receiving end of her aggression. And the contradictions only deepened when observers pointed out the contrast between his shaky, fidgety body language and the protective words he offered in her defense. A mismatch that suggested either loyalty born of love or fear rooted in something more troubling, leaving many to wonder if he was covering for her or if the league was exaggerating her culpability to make an example out of someone they had long seen as a problem child. After all, Richardson's record wasn't spotless. Her 2020 suspension from the Tokyo Olympics after testing positive for THC had already placed her under a magnifying glass, a punishment that ignited global debates about fairness in sports, given the increasing legalization of cannabis, but which insiders quietly framed as a symptom of a larger pattern of defiance, clashes with coaches, and friction with teammates. And though she returned to competition with her signature fire, painted nails, and unapologetic personality, whispers within the track community painted her as someone skating on thin ice long before the airport incident occurred. So when the email announcing her indefinite leave arrived, it wasn't read as a simple disciplinary action but as a statement. A public declaration that officials were finished shielding her, that her image as a marketable face of American track was no longer worth the trouble. And yet, outside the bureaucratic walls of USA Track and Field, the human story continued to unravel with nuance. Because the public saw not just a superstar punished for misconduct, but a young woman at the center of a storm, where fame, personal relationships, and institutional politics all collided. And this is where the debate lingers. One side argues that Richardson's fiery nature, while once her charm, had become her downfall, proof that she couldn't separate her personal struggles from her professional responsibilities, while the other side points to the coldness of her dismissal and the silence of her sponsors as evidence of how quickly organizations abandon the very athletes they once used to sell shoes, commercials, and national pride. The truth is likely messy, layered in contradictions, with a video that damns her actions but also raises questions about Christian's role, a past riddled with controversy but also resilience, and an email that symbolizes not just a suspension, but a system's ability to reduce years of blood, sweat, and sacrifice into a single cold, dismissive line, leaving the world to wrestle with one haunting question: is the truth really on Sha''s side? Or has Christian, with his nervous smile and hesitant defense, been shaping the narrative all along?
In the video, they are in the middle of an airport and he is visibly trying to walk away, and she's like pushing him and like hitting him in the middle of a fucking airport in broad daylight. Like, as someone that's quite literally afraid to even record myself in...
Sha'Carri Richardson's troubles didn't stop at an arrest. Reports say she was taken into custody after allegedly putting her hands on her boyfriend while they were trying to catch a flight out of Seattle-Tacoma International Airport. Maybe she assumed the buzz would fade once headlines moved on, but instead, she's facing the harshest consequence of her career, being removed from Team USA. This wasn't a warning or a temporary setback. It was the kind of decision that can wipe away everything she's built. The blow landed through her agent, who passed along an email from the USA Track and Field organization. The message was blunt, stripped of empathy, and delivered in plain terms. She was on indefinite leave, effective immediately. In the world of track and field, that's essentially a career death sentence. Athletes rarely bounce back from that kind of ruling. What stung most wasn't just the dismissal, it was how decisively the league signaled they were done with her, as if this incident was the point of no return. Of course, this wasn't the first time Sha'Carri had run into controversy. Her track record with disciplinary issues goes back years. Fans remember 2020, when she was suspended from the Tokyo Olympics after testing positive for THC metabolites, a marker for cannabis. That single result cost her the chance to run in the 100 meters and stripped her from the women's 4x100 relay as well. Despite heated debates about whether the punishment fit the offense given cannabis legalization in many places, the league insisted it wasn't about the drug itself, but the behavior patterns surrounding it. Behind the scenes, there had already been whispers of her clashing with coaches, disrespecting authority, and rubbing teammates the wrong way. That history makes today's silence from her peers striking. Not a single public defense from teammates, no social media posts, nothing. Their quietness speaks volumes, hinting that the cracks in her reputation weren't invisible to those closest to her. What complicates things even further is the role of her boyfriend, Christian Coleman. Just days after the arrest, he publicly defended her, insisting she shouldn't have been taken into custody at all. That raised eyebrows because the alleged incident was between the two of them, yet here was the supposed victim trying to downplay it. His statement didn't calm suspicions, either. On video, Coleman's words sounded shaky, his body language uneasy, eyes darting, posture tense, barely meeting the camera. To many, it looked less like a defense and more like someone under pressure, making the story feel murkier than ever.
Situation all around, like, I don't feel as if like she should have been arrested. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, you know, people have discussions and emotions and stuff like that, and she have like things that she need to work on for herself, of course. And so do I, so do you, like everybody. And I'm the type of guy, like, I'm in the business of just like extending grace and mercy and love. And I feel as if like I don't try to look at obstacles either. Like, I just look at like situations like this to just like, you know, take a step back, analyze yourself mentally, and then just try to see what you can do to be your best self so that you can move forward, so you can just be the type of person and a human that God needs you to be for his kingdom and for his...
The moment the clip surfaced on Twitter, it went viral. Viewers immediately began dissecting every frame, pointing out how unsettling the situation appeared. One user summed it up bluntly: "This looks like a textbook case of a domestic violence victim defending and excusing their abuser. DV is never acceptable, no matter the circumstances." What made the reaction even more complicated was that, at first, a wave of people rushed to defend Sha'Carri, some even shifting the blame toward Christian. But all of that support collapsed when the next video dropped. It confirmed the suspicions many had whispered but few dared to say aloud. To fully grasp why the second video hit so hard, you have to remember that Sha'Carri hadn't been honest from the start. She initially downplayed the confrontation, brushing it off as nothing more than a heated argument between partners. And for a while, people accepted that explanation, mostly because the only footage available was a short, shaky clip from the moment of her arrest. Everything changed when police released the uncut, 15-minute arrest video. It gave the world the full picture. From the very beginning, it was clear Sha'Carri was fired up. Though she tried to put on a pleasant front at first, the tension was written all over her face, her words, and her body language. The deeper into the footage you go, the harder it is to reconcile her version of events with what actually unfolded. The turning point came the instant Sha'Carri realized she was actually being placed under arrest. Her demeanor flipped in seconds. In the video, you can literally watch the shift. One moment, she's smiling at the officers. The next, she's lashing out at Christian. She hurled insults, calling him a coward, demanded that he tell the police she hadn't done anything, and kept insisting on her innocence even as the situation unraveled in front of the cameras.
Do have my ID. Okay. Yeah, but I will definitely leave him alone. There's nothing that I want to do with him anymore. Like I said, it was a relationship thing. I need to get my stuff out of his bag.
Are you guys on the same flight, or?
We are later on in the day. Okay. Because our flight ended up getting delayed. We supposed to be leaving around this time of day, but the flight got canceled. So the flight doesn't leave until 10 p.m.-ish.
Okay.
So yeah, if you don't mind, can I step over here so I can check my ID?
That's fine.
Awesome, thank you. Hi, Sissy. Well, you hear me, right? So this is the position that Christian told me to put me into, okay? Because he's a coward, and I don't want anything to do with him at this point going forward. My name is Sha'Carri Richardson. Have no problem with letting you know who I am. Haven't put my hands on him. We had an argument. I will be honest about that. An argument, and that's pretty much it. The argument, pretty much, he's a liar. He lied about a couple things that's personally, just in a relationship. I pretty much, officers can understand what a relationship is about, but he lied. He's a liar. And that was something that I kind of just grasped, and emotionally, I'm just like, bet you do your thing, but you're asking me for things that is within my possession, and for my right, I don't have to give it to you because it's in my possession. But when it came to the point that I saw that he chose to make it more about the police and things of that nature, that showed that he made a choice. So I just want to be more professional and just come professionally and let you guys know, like, hey, relationship thing, have no problem, and walking up to you guys.
It's not legal to argue.
Right.
She doubled down when officers pressed her, insisting, "I haven't hit him with anything." But instead of easing the tension, Sha'Carri pivoted straight into victim mode. She accused Christian of being the aggressor and even argued that he should be the one in handcuffs. Her reasoning? Simply because he was the man. The problem, of course, was that the evidence showed otherwise. She was the one who had gotten physical with him in the first place. A few days later, TMZ got their hands on the airport's CCTV footage and, suddenly, everything clicked. Sha'Carri's panic at the thought of being jailed, her defensive outbursts, her insistence she was innocent, it all made sense. The video made it undeniable. Clear as day, you can see Sha'Carri shoving Christian, invading his space, and putting her hands on him. Meanwhile, Christian never fought back. If anything, he seemed focused on pulling away, trying to de-escalate. But the more distance he tried to create, the more aggressively she pressed in. That footage didn't just disprove her story, it shattered it. It revealed how manipulative her claims had been. If not for those cameras, she might have successfully convinced people that he was the aggressor. She hadn't hesitated to throw him under the bus during the arrest, and once the truth surfaced, her supporters fell silent. They seemed to know there was no longer any way to defend what had been exposed. The only move left for Sha'Carri was to step forward and take responsibility. But when she finally addressed the situation publicly, it backfired. Her so-called apology video went viral not for the sincerity of her words, but for how hollow they felt. On camera, she spoke about accountability, reflection, and making amends with those she hurt, especially Christian. Yet her body language told another story entirely. Instead of remorse, viewers saw her smiling and acting casual, as if she were chatting on Instagram Live. The disconnect was so obvious that many concluded she wasn't speaking from the heart at all, just reciting lines crafted by a PR team.
Telling you that we was arguing, I didn't assault him, I didn't do anything wrong, but the fact that your guys are doing this to me, and he's the man in this situation, I'm gonna comply. I am. I'm not gonna argue with you at all. But you have me on camera, but at the same time, what he has on camera, when I have my phone, shows something different. So if I need to show that, I will.
We have you on camera all around here.
Okay, but I have my phone that shows something different. But Christian, thank you, Christian.
Don't talk to him right now.
Okay, I won't. Thank you so much, officer. They are arresting me right now, Christian. Sissy, they're arresting me right now. Am I gonna go actually to jail right now?
You are actually gonna go to jail.
Wait, but right now,
yes, it's a physical custody.
I didn't. Can he tell you that I didn't do nothing to him?
We have it on camera.
Christian, are you serious right now?
Alright.
Christian, I'm about to go to jail because of you right now.
But Sha'Carri didn't stop at the apology video. She followed it up with an Instagram story, this time directed straight at Christian. In her message, she wrote, "I apologize to Christian. He came into my life and gave me more than a relationship. He gave me a deeper understanding of unconditional love, something I'd never known because of my past experiences, but because of my trauma and pain, I was too blind and closed off to truly receive it, or give it back." She went on, "I love him, and I can't apologize enough. My apologies should be just as loud as my actions. Honestly, louder. To Christian, I love you, and I am so sorry. On the surface, it sounded heartfelt. But much like the video, fans weren't convinced. Too many, it read as polished damage control rather than genuine remorse. She's smiling way too much for someone addressing something this serious, one user pointed out. Others didn't hold back, saying her behavior proved she'd already burned through her goodwill. Bad attitude, now assaulting a man in public time to pack her up. If it were the other way around, Christian would have lost everything. Another person went as far as tagging her sponsors directly, demanding companies like Nike, Sprite, and Hypebeast cut ties with her. And here's where things get even more precarious. Sha'Carri's brand partnerships once a huge part of her success and her identity beyond the track are suddenly hanging by a thread. These weren't just business deals. They were a symbol of her crossover appeal, proof that she wasn't only a runner but a cultural figure capable of moving markets and shaping trends. Companies like Nike, Sprite, and Hypebeast had invested heavily in her story. The brash young sprinter who wore her pain and resilience like armor, who could command attention with her colorful hair and outspoken interviews as much as with her blazing speed on the track. But now, those same companies are silent. And that silence is deafening. Insiders say brand executives are already huddling in boardrooms, quietly reevaluating their contracts with her. Some representatives have reportedly reached out directly, not with congratulations or encouragement but with probing questions. Can she still meet her obligations? Can she still embody the values they want their products tied to? The very fact that such questions are being asked signals the fragility of her standing. Sponsors don't wait for scandals to die down, they assess risk in real time. And once they sense a liability, they move quickly to protect their image. New deals that were once in the works, potentially worth millions, have now been shelved indefinitely. Campaigns that were set to roll out in the summer are on hold. Commercials are being edited, and lawyers are being looped in from both sides to comb through contracts for escape clauses. The fine print in most athlete sponsorship agreements includes morality clauses, vague but powerful language that allows companies to terminate deals if an athlete's actions are deemed damaging to the brand. And for someone in Richardson's position, one viral video may be enough to trigger those provisions. The cruel irony here is that sponsorships often mean more than medals. For many athletes, especially those in sports like track and field that don't offer the same financial security as basketball or football, brand deals are their lifeline. They provide the financial cushion that allows athletes to train, travel, and focus without constant stress about money. They're also a form of validation, proof that your image is marketable, that you've transcended sport and become a household name. To lose them isn't just to lose money, it's to lose status, influence, and relevance. And Sha'Carri knows this, which is perhaps why her silence right now feels so jarring. For years, she sprinted headlong into controversies with her chin up, her voice loud, never afraid to clap back on social media or face critics head-on. That brashness was part of her appeal, the reason fans loved her and sponsors wanted her. But now, she has gone completely quiet. No defiance, no carefully worded statement, not even a cryptic post to remind people she's still standing. It's as if the weight of this moment has finally pressed her into stillness. That silence speaks volumes. It suggests a woman who knows the stakes, who realizes this isn't just another PR storm she can outlast with time. This isn't just about missing a race or sitting out a season. If this suspension holds, it won't just mean she's off Team USAT, could mean the unraveling of everything she has built. Her endorsements, her public image, her career trajectory, all of it could crumble in one blow. And that's what makes this moment feel so final. Sports history is filled with athletes who stumbled, who endured scandals, who found a way to claw their way back. But in almost every case, what allowed them to recover wasn't just talent, it was the support of the institutions and sponsors around them. Richardson no longer seems to have that. The silence from her teammates, the distance from her league, the hesitancy from her sponsors all suggest she is standing alone. For someone once hailed as unstoppable, the contrast couldn't be sharper. She built her reputation on speed, resilience, and fire, sprinting past every obstacle with a sense of invincibility. But now, the race has changed. It's no longer about how fast she can run, it's about whether she can outrun the consequences of her choices. The coldness of corporate calculations, and the unforgiving eye of the public. And this time, it might not be a race she can win.